Hello again. Down the rabbit hole we go as I start another series with no promise of being able to finish it in the foreseeable future. Let's discuss the first book in the Song of the Adriel series, The Scarlet Star by Jennifer Kropf, at author Jennifer Kropf. A Beauty and the Beast meets Story of Esther retelling explores the idea of what it would be like to face marrying a king when all you know about him is he hates your people and virtually everything, including himself, and apparently it's going to be your problem to give him the opportunity to reform, especially when he treats only you with any patience. Welcome to Freytag's Lab, where I review indie and traditionally published books for gripping stories, sensational characters, and clean romance, as well as post some of my own writing ventures. And let's be honest, I rant about books I enjoyed, and this is Spoiler City. For best results, skip to the end for the no-spoiler content info and come back for the plot and character discussion. Let's break it down. Rin Electus, an Adriel girl hiding under the radar, gets dragged into participating in a 12-week competition to win over the king of Persiana and become his wife because her dad sold her to the king in an attempt to save his own life. Meanwhile, the king, reliant on the power of a magical tree to keep his sanity and stuck under the thumb of his council and the Chancellor Belorme, is rumored to have killed his first wife and couldn't care less about the competition. Rin tries to escape, but finds herself being pled with by the High Priestess Giovanni, follower of the god of the Adriel people, to participate in the competition long enough to overthrow the king and the false gods of his people, the Waylan. Rin gives in under the pressure of her family, who also work with the priestess, and ends up falling for the king and becoming responsible for saving him when she realizes he has the potential to be restored. Character time! Rin starts the story very resistant to the calling of her people's god. After all her suffering, he's become a fairy tale, but ultimately his presence becomes all too clear, and she faces inner turmoil as she realizes the king is not senselessly malevolent or unreachable. She can see the dark forces of the Waylan people's false god around the king and the ill intentions of the king's own court members, and decides to prove she can free the king from his tree while falling for him. Her character arc is characterized by spiritual warfare and releasing grudges and presuppositions to see the truth of where evil lies. King this guy, I don't know how to pronounce his name and I don't want to try, so he's going to be this guy. We'll continue referring to him as this guy. This guy is not written as an inherently evil character, but absolutely one that has a very misguided mentality that makes him dangerous to others. He's perfectly designed for redemption because he has done wrong, but not irredeemable evil, and he presents an openness to be freed. As of the end of the book, his character arc has been primed, but not completed, because he has seen the truth, but stubbornly relapsed due to prejudice against Rin when he realizes she is of the Adriel people. Heva is Rin's guard and a daughter figure of the High Priestess of the Adriel god. Also, every girl needs her best friend. That's who this is. High Priestess Giovanni, yes, the High Priestess I've been talking about this whole time, is the instigator of Rin's spiritual journey. Well, let's start with the fact that we meet this guy first. He's got nasty voices in his head, a bad attitude, and an obsession with his special tree. One of his first major decisions is to demand that Rin be added to the competition, although he doesn't know who she is yet, because it will throw a wrench in the Chancellor's plans to marry him to a pretty figurehead that will do the Council's bidding. The introduction of both him and his malevolent council that keeps him subjugated and silent sets a very high-stakes stage. Next, obviously, is meeting Rin, the main character. When she gets brought to the castle, the first thing she does is try to escape, and succeeds until she gets appointed by Giovanni to continue in the competition. Fun fact, it makes things awkward when you don't know what the king looks like and ask him to lift you over the wall to escape marrying him. Even funnier when you show back up in his castle and he wonders what you're still doing there. This is gonna be vague, but that's okay. We have all the little moments of, we keep running into each other like this. One where Rin plays a harp for him to help him sleep after learning she can silence his voices, and of course most special is the moment the king divulges to Rin his reliance on the special tree, setting up Rin to cut it down and free him from the power of the false gods later on. For major themes, here's an obvious one: spiritual warfare and faith. Literally the center point of a story based off of a Bible story. Rin struggles with trusting the voices of a god she hasn't believed in since childhood, and further struggles to believe she is really the chosen one who can help the Adriel people and free the Waylan people from their false gods. After all, she is just a normal girl, so she wants to believe. The High Priestess and her allies are strong examples of faith and hope in the face of an apparently never-ending darkness. They involve Rin in prayer and offer consistent support during her journey. We also have the consequences of pride and fear. This guy was so close to being freed of his false gods and dependence on them, but pride and arrogance led him to relapse when faced with Rin's heritage. Because of his unwillingness to see her actions instead of his preconceived imagery about her people, he turns her away. He also fears the Adriel god as just being another voice in his head. Although Rin freed him from the crutch of the tree, he refuses to be open to her god, and I believe because her god is another voice in his head, that's also another reason he turned her away. Pacing felt a little slow at the point right before the climax, where Rin faced her last challenge in the competition before getting a chance to free the king, but that could also have been because I read the book in one night and I was getting tired and I wanted to see how it ended. Overall, though, everything felt necessary and earned. My only gripe generally is that the High Priestess and her allies felt a little too detached from the story. They seemed a little too unburdened by everything that was happening, and so it felt a little artificial to me, but maybe that says more about me than the characters. And again, because I have a problem, the only unanswered questions are the ones that will clearly be answered in the next book in the series. The important content info. Cursing has just made up in-world curses. Drinking and drugs, I mean, it's social drinking because, fantasy balls and such. For spice, nondescript kissing, and one of the council members forces a kiss on Rin, so if non-consent's an issue, be warned. For final thoughts, I give the Scarlet Star 5 stars. Rin's character is engaging, the king is frustratingly human, and the representation of both mortal and spiritual evil adds perfect layers of dimension and intensity to the story. From the Beast King's suffering from painful misalignment and a refusal to just be saved, to Rin's journey to grow in faith, the Scarlet Star was a nice way to binge read away a school night. And so, another indie read is shelved, and I will continue my wait to ever complete a full review series. I'll link the book on Amazon and the author's Instagram in the comments. Thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe, and go check out The Scarlet Star.